I got a call a couple months ago from a landowner in Southern California, and he owned a piece of commercial property. It was a vacant lot, and it was sandwiched in between a drainage channel, and there was a corner lot. It was a commercial building on it, and he wanted to sell the parcel, so he had put the property up for sale and found a buyer that was interested in the parcel, and the buyer needed to get a land title survey. That was a requirement of the buyer's lender, which is fairly typical for commercial real estate. So the buyer got a land title survey, and the land title survey revealed that there was likely a large encroachment on both the east and west side of this vacant parcel. So on the west side, the deeded parcel went way into the drainage canal, and on the east side, the restaurant on the east side encroached onto the subject parcel. So the land title survey found some major problems, and they weren't small encroachments; they were large encroachments. So why was this seller calling me? Well, what happened is the land surveyor that did the title survey delivered the title survey to the real estate agents involved, and the lender saw the problems with the property and backed out of the transaction. So the seller couldn't get financing to buy the parcel, and the deal fell apart. So the seller, the landowner, called me and said, "Hey, I don't know what to do. Can you take a look at this for me?" So I said, "Sure." Took a look at it, said, "Yep, here's what you got. You got a couple encroachments. We need to do some work to figure out what's going on. Either you need a corrective deed, or we got to do some lot line adjustments, or some boundary line agreements. We got to do something to clean up these title problems." And I said, "You're probably not going to be able to sell this piece till we get this fixed, because, any competent survey is going to find this problem. And, now you technically know about it, so you've got a duty to disclose to any buyers." I said, so we need to get this cleaned up. What was striking to me about that example, and that's a real life story that really happened here a couple months ago. What's striking to me about that example is that other surveyor found those problems and just walked away, right? So he blew up that deal. He blew up that real estate transaction and just walked away, and he left the client there with those problems and made no attempt to help the landowner figure out how to fix his problems and get a marketable piece of property, get marketable title to that lot. And that, for me, that's very depressing and frustrating as a land surveyor. And this is part of the reason why people in real estate don't like land surveyors, right? Because we find a lot of land surveyors find problems and then walk away. They don't offer the parties involved any solutions to get the problems fixed. And there's almost always a way to fix the problem, right? And, a lot of surveyors don't do that. That's not my job. That's not my department. You need to call somebody else. And I think that's a shame. That's a real failure we make as a profession. So I want to just give you a contrasting example. We had done a survey I guess about 4 months ago. We did a survey of a small pasture in San Joaquin County, and we found some large encroachments on two sides. So on one side, our client's land, their fence was, I think it was 55 feet into the neighbor's parcel to the south. And then on the north side, the neighbor's fence was about 30 feet into my client's parcel. So we found those problems. And, but here's what I did. I didn't just walk away. I didn't just give the landowner the results of my survey and then walk away. I said, "Hey, we've got some problems here. We probably can't sell. They were thinking about selling at some point in the future. I said, you're going to have trouble selling the property with these problems. We really need to talk to your neighbors and try and get this figured out." So she had some conversations with the neighbors. One of the neighbors decided to get super aggressive. So I told her, I said, "Hey, it's probably a good time for you to get a land attorney. People get emotional. It's a good thing. Get a land attorney involved. They can help you sort this out." So we recommended a land attorney to the client. We ended up doing a lot line adjustment on both sides of that parcel to clean up the problem, to remove the encroachments. And when we walk away from that survey, the client's going to be in way better shape than she was when we got there, right? So she's going to have clean, marketable title to a property. The boundaries are going to be marked. All the neighbors are going to know where the property lines are at. And this is going to be a way better situation than what we discovered. So when you think about those two contrasting stories, what are the lessons? What do we learn? So I think there's 5 things I want you to take away from those two stories. Number 1, surveyors find problems. That's what we do. I would say the majority of the surveys that I execute, we find a problem. It's way more than half. It's probably 3/4. That could be an easement that's in the wrong spot, or a building that crosses a property line, or a fence that's not in the right place, or a problem in the deed, or a problem in the neighbor's deed. We find monuments that have been destroyed. I mean, almost every survey, we find problems. So the second thing I want you to learn is bad land surveyors walk away from those problems. So most surveys find a problem. Bad surveyors walk away from that problem. They don't give their client any options to fix them. I think that's a disgraceful thing. It's a real failure that land surveyors, we as land surveyors as a profession, that's a failure that we have, and it shouldn't happen. When a land surveyor finds problems, he should provide his or her clients, with solutions to those problems. The other lesson is good land surveyors fix problems. They don't just find problems; they fix problems, right? So you want to find and fix problems. You don't want to not find problems that are there, because that's not good either. But when you find problems, you want to help fix them if your client and the neighbors are willing to do that. The 4th lesson is that a good land surveyor, when he's finished or she's finished with the survey, they are going to leave the client in a better position than when they started, right? So the quality of the boundary and the land title on that parcel is going to be better when a good land surveyor leaves than it is when he starts. And unfortunately, in many cases, the condition of the boundary and land title is worse when the surveyor gets done with his work than when he or she starts. And that's because surveyors don't fix problems, and we need to do a better job of that. So the final lesson is a good land surveyor understands what the client's trying to accomplish, the end goal, and he's helping to pull his client across the finish line, right? Or her client across the finish line. And she does that, or he does that, by offering good solutions to fix boundary and land title problems, right? That's really important. So work with a good boundary surveyor, one that isn't just going to find problems, but one that is going to help you fix problems, because that's what a good boundary surveyor does.